CyberX with Wondrously Crafted. And today we're going to be talking about how to do a custom HUD using an action bar. And it's a little more complicated than we normally try to cover, but I think we can get through it. So here we go. See the bar at the top? You see we got rocks, water. Oh, now we got science, religion. Oh, now we got coin. Now we got burgers. And those are all of our stats. And those stats are coming from a scoreboard. So how do we get those stats on the screen all the time doing that fancy rotation? Well, here we go. As you know, I'm CyberX, the king of BPAC. So that's how we're gonna get this started. A behavior pack animation controller. So we set this up on the player, and all it does is it says, hey, on a game state loop, we're going to play these functions. And each function has a animation timer right here, and that timer is just set to 1 or 2 seconds, and that just says, wait, 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 and then it loops, and that creates a basic animation. So that is how we're getting our basic looping of the information. It's just 4 screens, and how I set them up is it's jumping 2 at a time. You can set it up to jump 1 at a time, which I might do at some point, but I just wanted to get it going, so it jumps 2 at a time. So they move over 2, and it's just 4 screens, and they share the same information. So how do we get them to show up on the screen? Let's jump over and check out those functions. Before we check out the functions, let's see what the scoreboards look like. So we have a scoreboard, and we do a setup world. You just run this the first time you open a world in the background, so it sets up all of your scoreboards. And so I have a scoreboard here called coins, and a scoreboard here called luxury, and a scoreboard here called foods, and woods, and water, and rocks, right? So these are what you're seeing on that top bar. So how do we get those to show up? Well, we come over here. This is our first frame, and we're going to run and execute as a title to the action bar, and the action bar, and in this, I was just thinking about this A. This A could be an S, because you're applying this to the player and the player's numbers. So each player would apply. You don't need to do this to all. Okay, so then we have a score, and then the score, let me see if I can zoom this in. And then we have a score, and the score objective is coins, okay? And then next to the coins, we're going to use what's called a glyph, and we'll go over how to set that up in a minute, but this is just a copy pasted in symbol that we're going to put in there. And then we're going to keep going, and we're just going to chain these together. So the next one's luxuries, and then a symbol, and then foods and a symbol, and so on. And right here at this objective coins is where it's pulling out the score of the player for coins and then showing it. And then right behind it, we're putting in the text. So if we jump back over the game, you see we have a number, and then we have a symbol for what that represents. So number and then coins, and those are attached into the scoreboard. So right now, if we set our coins are 15,102, and then we said scoreboard, player, set, at self, coins, and then we said 190,000, then the number should update as it comes around. Yep, so now it's 190,000. So you can see that that number is just attached to the scoreboard. So we jump back into our code, and that's literally all it's doing. So if you didn't want to have it, say this is all the information you wanted to show, then you wouldn't have to have the looping in the other frames. But if you want to have a lot of data up there, then all you're going to do is you're going to copy this file, and you're going to paste it again, and then we're just going to have a second version of it. And in the second version, the first item is now food, second item is wood. Where here the first item is coin, the second item is luxury, the third item is food, the fourth item is wood. And so all we're doing is giving the illusion of animation by moving these over and sharing them in the file. So we have 4 of them here. We show the last 2 here, but at the front spot, and then we add 2 more. And then in the the next file, we do the same thing. Now we're going to move rocks up to the front, water up to the front, and then we're going to add in science and religion. And then we're going to do one more. We're going to move science, religion to the front, and then we're going to have coins and luxury, remember, which are the very first over here, and that way it feels like it's a rotating loop. So these are at the end of the loop, and they're at the beginning of the loop, or animation. And then that's it. That's just giving us this effect of the animation rotation of those bars, and they're changing every 1 second or 2 seconds depending on what you want. Now, if you wanted that to be like an LED bar, you could have it flashing and it could go really fast or really slow or whatever you wanted. You could make that more customized to what you want, or add more text to it, or whatever you want. So that gives you the basic step of it. Now let's talk about how do we get that glyph in there. So the glyph is simply in the font system. So in the font system, and you can check out this Bedrock or wiki.bedrock.dev has an emo glyph explanation of how this works and how to use them. But in essence, what we're doing is we're putting our own file in the font system, and in that file we're putting in these icons. And each of these blocks, these cubes, is representative of code or text that you put into the game, and then it will show you this image. And that's what that box was that you were seeing. It was just one of these. And so how you do it is we make the file, we save it into our fonts folder in our game, and then we come into here on the wiki and we look up that number. So if I want this slot, that would be 0xE1FF. So we would do 0xE1FF. And the E1 it's this glyph E1. So there's a whole bunch of these files. There's glyph E0, there's glyph AA, there's tons of them. E1 is just one that has a lot of empty space that we use for this. So you have this in here in your fonts folder in your RP, and we come in here, we hit convert, it gives us this symbol, and then we copy and paste this symbol into that function. So if we go back into our function, if we wanted that symbol to be this for coins, we just paste that into that spot right there, and then that will show up in the game as that icon. And that's really it. That's how the glyph system works. So if you want to add information into all kinds of different places like books and NPC, the chat spot for NPCs and all of those things, glyphs are how you do it. So that's pretty much it. I am CyberAxe with Wondrously Crafted, and this has been how to set up a basic HUD. Now, you don't need to do it with a BPAC. You could do it with a command block. You could do it with anything you wanted, an NPC. It's just going to pop up and be there. The problem is that it's only going to pop up and be there for 1 to 3 seconds by default, and then you need to run the command again to keep it there, or you need to edit the HUD file and change that. Now, positioning is another thing. I'll do that in a different guide on how to position it on the screen, how to make the background bar stay the same size. You're going to find that when you do this, it's going to shrink to whatever the content is, which I don't like. I want it to be the same size all the time. So those are more cosmetic things that I'll do in a different guide for HUD modifications. So thanks. If you have any more questions or suggestions or other things you'd like me to do, or just support and thanks for the guides, I definitely can use the support and encouragement. So throw it out there in the comments, hit us up on Discord, join the Blockbench and the Bedrock add-ons Discord, get involved. If you're a partner, we could always use some sponsorships to keep this content coming. If you're making profit off this content, give back to the community and help support so we can keep growing the tech database. Thanks for watching. Check out the website at outlandishlycrafted.com.